Hello historians, welcome to Decoding the Test and a quick look at the modern age. Now as always, I'm going to encourage you to learn as much as you can about the modern age and know the details that you see on the slide in front of you. But in this video, we're going to cover what the test has gone over again and again and again. And as far as the modern age is concerned, that's actually a lot of categories, from specifics like Ronald Reagan all the way through some more generalized things like American culture. Well, today we're going to look at one of those more generalized categories. Again and again and again, the modern age questions on the test focus on modern age American government and modern age American values. Now this is kind of a grab bag, but it's a grab bag that the test goes to again and again and again. There are a lot of questions about modern American government and modern American values. So can we boil it down? Yes, we can. There's going to be an equal split between American values that date all the way back to the Declaration of Independence, and this is stuff as simple as individual liberty, and how modern American government works and what kind of are the problems of modern American government. For instance, let's dive into this. This is a question about the Declaration of Independence, and it says the ideas in that helped what? Now, you guys haven't really studied the Declaration of Independence since 8th grade. Your coursework, for me, does start with the Declaration of Independence, but still, that was a little bit back there in your minds. Where's the answer it's looking for? It helped inspire people in other countries to question the authority of their government. So when you look at the Declaration of Independence, you're going to probably get some kind of answer that focuses on people rebelling against overarching government authority that goes beyond, that infringes. So if you get a Declaration of Independence question, look for the answer that talks about the government infringing on individual liberties. Here it asks a question about civic action. Which civic action demonstrates the most fundamental responsibility of citizens in a democracy? You are going to get questions on civic duties and civic responsibilities, and there is a difference that you need to know. A civic duty is something you must do. A civic responsibility is something you should do. This is talking about a responsibility, something all Americans should do but don't have to do. In this case, it's voting in a presidential election. Voting, period, is something every citizen should do. It is the primary civic responsibility. What's a civic duty? Something every American has to do? Check answer choice C, registering with the Selective Service. All males 18 years or older have to register with the Selective Service. That is a civic duty. You must do that. Civic responsibility is you should do that. What's another civic duty? Jury duty, serving on a jury when called. What's another civic duty? Paying your taxes. Those are things you must do. Civic responsibilities are things you should do. And the primary one among them, the one you're going to be tested on, voting in an election. Here's another question on it. It has a quote which says the United States was founded in large part on the desire of its people to participate in the decisions of the government. The question is, which action is an example of the type of participation described above? People participating in government decision-making. It's basically civic responsibility, voting for city council members. Answer choice D is how Americans will participate in decision-making. We vote on representatives who then make the decisions. That's how we make our presence known. So let's move on to a different kind of government question. Half the government questions you get are going to be on American values, and we just covered those. The other half are going to be on modern government things. For instance, you get a graphic here that shows you that the president is always of a single party. The president's one person. He can be either a Republican or a Democrat. The Senate and the House of Representatives is always going to be a split between those two parties, and that's what you see here. What does this pattern tell us about American government? Answer choice G. The president has to negotiate to get congressional support for his agenda. That is what you see here. The president, who is of one party, can't just dictate what happens. He has to actually get congressional support. Now, he might have to do that, but increasingly, that support is going to be hard to get. Increasingly, the two American political parties are so against each other that cooperation between the presidency and Congress, especially if Congress is made up of the majority of the other party, well, that's going to be very hard. So what do you see here is a quotation talking about since 1977, the government has shut down on 17 occasions. On 17 occasions, there has been a government shutdown, which means Congress could not agree on the budget. And one party or another stuck to their guns and was like, well, if we don't get what we want, we're not going to vote on a budget, which means the government's not going to pay people, which means the government shuts down until we get what we want. What does that show? Answer choice H. A lack of cooperation between the legislative and executive branches. Now, in this particular quotation, it is the executive branch pushing Congress to pass a budget and Congress going no. Increasingly, it's people within Congress that can't agree. Finally, you might get a question about the impeachment trial of Bill Clinton. The impeachment process for a president is actually kind of confused. First, to impeach a president, you have to vote for articles of impeachment. That is in the House of Representatives. They vote to say, hey, we need an impeachment trial. Once they vote on that, the actual impeachment trial happens in the Senate. No American president has ever been found guilty in an impeachment trial. It's never gotten to that point. Richard Nixon resigned before this process even started. Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton were served with articles of impeachment in the House, but when it came to the trial in the Senate, were found not guilty. What does that whole impeachment process show? Well, in Bill Clinton's case, he was impeached for lying to Congress. What was he lying about? Congress asked him about his personal life. He was having an affair. He lied about it. Congress decided that was an impeachable defense, and then the Senate decided, no, it's not. Answer choice here is C. Excuse me. Answer choice here is D. Elected officials face greater scrutiny in their personal lives. In the modern age, with television, the internet, personal lives are not off limits. So what's our takeaways for government and values? One, you're probably going to get a question on the Declaration of Independence, and you need to pick the answer that talks about how people rebelled against unwanted government authority. Two, you're probably going to get a question about civic duties or civic responsibilities. Remember, civic duties are things you must do. Civic responsibilities are things you should do. What's your primary civic responsibility? To vote. You might get a question about how modern American government works. Congress and the president should compromise. Increasingly, they do not. And in modern politics, personal lives are not out of bounds. If there's no questions, comments, or screams of angst, I will see you in the next video.